All right, wonderful. Welcome back, everybody. Shabbat shalom to you and your families. Good to see every last one of you here today. Let's go ahead and get into the lesson. Let's see here. Ching, ching, ching. All right. And feel free to ask any questions and participate while we're doing our lesson today. It's very vital for us as y'all's people to ask questions, because of course asking questions always gets you a little closer to having a better understanding. You know, we need wisdom in these times, especially right now. Okay. Your Torah portion is named after a man called Yethro. There's only a few Torah portions that have their names named after a person. So we have Yethro. Do you guys know who else we have? We have the life of Sarah. Talk about Pinchas. We have Balak. Okay. So those are the names of the Torah portions that are named after individuals, which they're great reminders to us about, you know, how the Most High sees these individuals and how significant they are. So by me saying that, we understand that Yethro is important. He's very important to the Torah. And you're going to see that today, and you're going to see the reasons why. Now, Yethro, he was a priest of the Midians. The Midians are from Abraham's line, okay, through his wife Keturah. She had some sons, and he's one of those family members from Midian, from Abraham's son Keturah. I mean, Abraham's wife Keturah, she had a son called Midian. And so we see that, you know, Moshe is not related directly, but he is related to this man, okay? He's Moshe's father-in-law, heard about all that Elohim had done for Moshe and for Yisrael, his people, and how Yahweh had brought Israel out of Mizraim. I wanted that to be our opening verse because I wanted to talk today to you briefly about what it is that Yah has done and what it is that he is going to do and what he is doing, okay? When I first read this Torah portion, I thought to myself, I said, you know, what should I talk about? Should I talk about the covenant? Should we talk about, you know, what that means? And I think in my last time that we did this back in a year ago, we discussed the importance of the covenant and what it really means. And you can look at my video on that. It's 11 months ago. I forgot the name of it. I think it's what is the covenant? And, you know, it didn't have a lot of views. I was surprised, but it only had a few views, but it was a very powerful teaching. Okay. One of the things that I did want to mention to you is that we're going to break down to find out what are some of the things, not all of the things that the Most High did for Moshe as a leader, and what he's did for YSREAL as his people. Okay. So the word done is what we're going to be looking at today. Okay. We find that word in our text in the Hebrew, and this is basically the Hebrew in which it was written, about the verse that I just read to you, okay? That word is called Asah, okay? And we see that in this text, you have a whole bunch of these F's here, okay? And F's are arrows, okay? So we're looking at what Yah has done for them and all in which Yahweh Elohim has done to and for Moshe and Yisrael, okay, his people. So there's a separation that he makes between Moshe and his people. Very distinct difference. And we need to understand why the Torah is telling us that, because he could have said what he just did for Israel, but he didn't do just everything for Israel. He was doing something for Moshe, okay? And when he found out everything that Yah has done, he rejoiced over all the good that Yah has done. in Hebrew, you know that the word good is called tov. And we know that tov means what is functional, okay? And what works, okay? What's operational, okay? So he says he rejoiced over all the good that Yahweh had done. That's our theme for today, for YSREAL by rescuing them from the Egyptians, which we all know the story. So anything that Yah is going to do for us has to be functional. It can't be awry. It can't be dysfunctional, okay? So again, the word that we're covering today is called Asah, okay? Asah, Asah, okay? And Asah is a word that's been used quite a bit in not only in our Torah portion, but throughout the whole entire Tanakh, okay? I was surprised. I was surprised on how many times this word is used. It's used over 2,628 times. So it's pretty significant. When I was reading the Torah, I discovered that this word was mentioned 21 times, which tells me that when you look at it on the scale of 26, 28, 21 out of that is less than 1% of 1% or something like that. It's insignificant, okay? Which is pretty interesting because when it's mentioned these 21 times here in our Torah portion, it is very significant, okay? So by numbers alone, it seems to be insignificant, but according to what's in our text, is used 21 times. Is used 10 times in chapter number 18, is used 2 times in chapter number 19, and is used over 9 times in chapter number 20, okay? So what does Asah mean? What does it mean? Okay. Asah means from a verbal standpoint to do. Okay. So to do something means that I'm going to do something in the future. So it means the future. It means making something happen in the future, making something, doing something. So it's an action. And what we'll find is that Asah is not just in the future, but it's also too in a present tense, meaning that is something can be happening right now, okay? The present tense on this, or that which is actively happening, is this ing. Still has do there, right? But it has the ing on it, doing, making, so it's a present tense. Present tense. So we got a future tense, we have a present tense. And of course, if we have those two tenses, that was mentioned over 2,628 times, then also too, you have that which is done, which is in your past tense. So we have our past, we have our present, and you're going to always have your future. Okay. So as we know, the past, the present, and the future all boils down to that which exists. Okay. All that which exists. Okay. So what is the point? The point is that the Most High is always going to have you and I doing something, or you're always going to do something. And then after you've done it, then it's complete, right? Very simple. So today I want to discuss with you about what are we doing? What do we find in our Torah portion? What we find in our Torah portion is this idea of work, because that's what it means concretely. That's what Asah means, because you're going to do work. You're going to be doing work, and you have done some work, okay? Those 3 points. You go, so I'm going to get tired of Asah. You're going to know what Asah means by the end of this lesson today. So it's about work. So I want to talk to you about the work that has been done on Moshe. I want to talk about the work that he was doing. and even to this day that he's still doing. And I want you to talk about the work that the Most High had called him to do. Okay, so the Most High is doing a work on Moshe in our Torah portion. So Moshe can do the work that the Most High wants him to do. Okay, and then once he has finished it, it's done. Okay, but in any project that we do or any type of work that we're involved with, there's always going to be a beginning. The beginning of the work for Moshe happened when Yahweh saw that he had gone over to see what? He saw a fire, and he went over to this bush, and Elohim called him from the midst of the bush, and he said, Moshe, Moshe, and he answered, here I am. Therefore now come, and I will send you to Pharaoh, so that you can lead my people, the descendants of Israel, out of Mizraim. And Moshe said to Elohim, who am I, that I should go to Pharaoh and lead the people of Israel out of Mizraim? And he replied, I will surely be with you. Your sign that I have sent you will be that when you have led the people of Mizraim out, led the people out of Mizraim, you will worship Elohim on this mountain. So in our Torah portion, we see that Moshe has made his way back to this mountain. He's made his way back to the mountain that Yah told him that he was going to send him to. One of the things I want to share with you is when you read the Torah, you always have to remember the things that the Most High said. The Most High said, your sign that I sent you, okay, will be when you led the people out. You're going to come back. You will worship Elohim on this mountain. Not the people. Not the people of Israel. You are going to worship. Okay. So we downplay that and think, well, it's going to be all Israel because he just let them out and they're all at the mountain. So they're all there to worship. Israel didn't go there they didn't worship the Most High on the mountain. Only Moshe did. Okay. I want you to know that I'm going to be with you. Okay. So the work that he's doing on Moshe is for Moshe. Right? We can't clump it all together. If we're religious, we're going to clump it all together and think, oh, well, he's just used him for this reason and that's it. No, the thing is that we have to understand that when the Most High calls someone, he begins to do a work on them. One of the things that we do is we say, who am I that you should do this work on me? Same thing Moshe said. Who am I? And the Most High is telling him, like he's telling us, I'm going to be with you. You said, Akika, you're making this up. You're spiritualizing this. No, I'm not. I'm about to show it to you. I'm about to show it to you. Okay. You and I suffer what this man had. Okay. Some might call it low self-esteem. Some might call it, lack of confidence. Some might call it, hey, I don't think I have the ability to do what you're asking me to do. I don't have it in me. Okay. And the fact is that you do. You do have it in you. Okay. And then once you recognize that you do have it in you, when Yah is the one who's with you, who brings you to the point where he's with you, Yah is going to bring you somewhere. And the idea behind this whole conversation the Most High is having with him is to bring him to this mountain. That's what he wants to do. And to lead his people there to that mountain. That's what he wants to do. And so the work that the Most High has done for Moshe is important for us because I'm going to show you that you and I are the people that are going back to that mountain. You and I are going back there. Yahweh said to Moshe, see, I'm coming to you in a thick cloud. I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you, Moshe. This is the work that Yah is doing in him. Okay. And we'll talk more about why, but I'm coming to you so that the people will be able to hear when I speak with you and also trust in you forever. Why is he putting so much emphasis on Moshe? He's telling him, I'm going to do this for you. This is going to be the sign for you. And Moses is like, who am I? This is who I want you to be. This is the work that I'm going to do with you. So again, like you read in your Torah portion, they had hardships. This is why Yithro was like, hey, he rejoiced with him when he found out all that Yahweh did for Moshe and for the children of Israel. So Yah's letting us know there has to be a separation between Moshe and the people, because Yah chose Moshe to be our leader. I want you, the people, to trust in you forever. What it means, everyone, this word trust in Hebrew is called emunah. Okay, some people call it faith. Okay, have faith. That's a religious term. Let's scratch that out because that's abstract, and let's deal with what emunah really means. Emunah really means to support. I'm going to do what I'm going to do with you, Moshe, so the people will put their backing behind you, that they will support whatever you say moving forward. The reason why he wanted to do this, I'm coming to you. You understand? So the people will be able to put their support and their trust in you, because Yah had already known that the people of Israel were going to put some space between him and them. Remember, it says when they saw the cloud, they moved away from Yah. They made rakok. They put some distance between them and Yah. They were scared of Yah. They trembled, and they put some space between them. They didn't want to be near Yah. The only one who wanted to be near Yah is this man, Moshe Rabbeinu. I call him Rabbeinu because he was the greatest teacher that we've ever had. He's the only one that Yah has said it was faithful in his whole household. He's the only one that Yah has spoken to mouth. He's the only one. You hear what I'm saying? He's the only one that Yah says that I'm going to use him to lead these people out, along with his brother. But Aaron wasn't like Moshe. Okay, so the goal is, everybody, is that the Most High is directing us back to Moshe. I'm directing you back there. So he's telling you and I right now that if you and I are the people of Israel and we want to join ourselves to the Most High, let me see, someone's trying to get in. Then we're going to have to put our trust in what Moshe said forever. I don't have any slides, but you can look at this for yourself. Every time you turn around, they say that we're going to do the Torah of Moshe. Every time they went into exile, they were reading the Torah of Moshe. When they came out of exile, Ezra, the Torah of Moshe. Nehemiah, the Torah of Moshe. Daniel, the Torah of Moshe. The prophets, the Torah of Moshe. The kings, the Torah of Moshe. This is who you and I need to have our confidence in. This is who you and I need to support. We need to support the words of Moshe, because those words that were given to him are the words of Yah. He is going to be the one that's going to direct us and lead us back to Yah. So when we're looking, did it tell us that he came so they can trust in the prophets? No, I want you to trust in Moshe. Do I want you to trust in what Jeremiah said? No. Moshe trumps everyone. Moshe trumps Dawid. He trumps every single prophet that you've ever heard. And we haven't given it the attention that it deserves. Okay, his words. This work that we're doing, everyone, is about learning. And that's something that the Most High had to do with Moshe. Moshe had to go through a process of learning too. Yes, he was the most humble man on the face of the planet, but he needed to learn. He needed to learn. And so often when we're doing things and we're learning, we often think that everything that we're doing is good. The work that we're doing, we think it's always good, that it's always functional. But we found in our Torah portion that Moshe was doing something that he thought was good. And his father-in-law pointed out to him. Now here it is. It says the following day, Moshe sat down, right? Or sat to settle disputes. for the people while the people stood around Moshe from morning till evening. I want to pause right there just for a quick second. Anytime you see from the morning to evening, that tells you that that is the day. Like we've been saying, they weren't meeting in the evening to evening. They weren't meeting from the evening to the morning. They didn't include that in their time of worship. They didn't include that in their time of settling business. It's from the morning to the evening, just like your Shabbat. When he did offerings, it's in the morning and it's in the evening. See? So we don't want to lose sight when he says things like this. This needs to always be in the front of our minds, not in the back of our minds. It needs to be in the front of our minds. And when Moshe's father-in-law saw that all that he was doing, the Asah, to the people, he said, "What is this that you are doing to the people? Why do you sit here alone? They're alone with all the people standing around you from morning till evening. What's going on? What are you doing?" Because in his mind, he thought what he was doing was right. He thought what he was doing was functional, okay? Because the work that the Most High had him doing was not only about learning, but about teaching, because that's part of learning. Part of learning is teaching, right? So Moshe answered his father-in-law. He says, "Because the people come to me. They're seeking Elohim's guidance." That's a good thing, right? That's functional. Surely that's something good. And whenever they have a dispute, it comes to me and I judge between one person and another. And I explain to them Elohim's laws and teachings. On the surface, that may appear to be a good thing. That might be a good work to do. But the fact is that it's not. Moses' father-in-law said to him, "What you are doing, Asah, isn't good. The work that you're doing isn't good. You will certainly wear yourself out, and not only yourself, but these people here with you as well. It's too much for you. You can't do it alone by yourself. You can't do it." When I read this in the Hebrew, what it's talking about is that what this is going to do is this is going to take so much. It's not just too much for you, it's too much from you. That's what we're missing. It's not just too much for you, it's taking too much from you. Okay? So let me get my mind directed here. Everything that we're talking about, even when we're talking about Moshe, even when we're talking about Yithro, even when we're talking about the sons of Israel, they are nothing but examples to us, okay, on how you and I have to start looking at things, okay? Sometimes the work that we're doing might not be good for us. It isn't good. It's low tov. It's not functional. It's not good for us. Okay. What, teaching the word of the Most High is not good? No, he thought he was doing the right thing. I want to thank several of you for coming to me on different occasions and saying, "Hey, what you're doing might be too much. It might be too much for us." See, Moshe was doing more harm than he was doing good. He was doing more harm to the people. You could do more harm to the people when you're putting people in a position where they're not getting their questions answered. You're not doing so good for people, okay, when you're not giving them the space for them to grow and to learn on their own. You're not doing good for people when you're not allowing them to start to go through their process of development so they can understand things for themselves. You can't hold everybody's hand in every situation. You got to give space for that person to learn what to do what is good. And that's something that we all have to learn how to do. That's something that I'm learning how to do. That's why I cut the studies down from, twice a week to like once on Thursday, because it was just too much. It wasn't good for me and it wasn't good for everyone else because, and again, I said it before, I asked you guys for your forgiveness because I wasn't understanding like, how was this affecting your lives? We want to, whatever work that we do, we want to be effective in our work. Okay. like I just mentioned, Asah, the work that we can do can be low tov. It could be dysfunctional. It could be very harmful, not only to ourselves, but to others, right? Moses' father-in-law said that the work that he was doing was senseless. In Hebrew, it says it's senseless. It means that it was fruitless. Okay. It was unproductive. Unproductive. How does this work for you and I? We have to be careful how we spend our time. We have to be careful about the work that we're doing. When you do work, you don't want your work and your energy and your effort to be unproductive. You want it to actually be fruitful. You know, something that you can look at after you have put on all this work and all this time and all this energy and say, well, you know what, these are the results of what I've done. But if you don't have that type of discipline and you don't know how to prioritize things, then your work can be unproductive. The work that you do on a daily basis. You do it every single day. So we have to make sure that our days are productive, okay? Because that's when we do our work. We do it through our days, and we have 6 days to do our work. So what we're finding in our Torah portion about this work, about this Asah, is that Asah, in any time of doing anything, you know, in the past, the present, or the future, or any type of work that we're doing, you should attach the idea of structure to your work. Okay. So you're going to have to be organized. You're going to have some structure to it. And so this example that we're getting from YHWH is about bringing some structure to Moshe so he can pass that structure on to the children of Israel. Because basically what it was chaos. Anything that doesn't have a structure around it or doesn't have what you would say a chain of command will then ultimately cause problems. Okay. A lot of you who are involved in business and dealing with people and managing people, you know what I'm talking about. You have to have some structure in place. You have to have some checks and some balances. You have to have some filters. You have to have a chain of command. You have to have someone to hold responsible. You have to allow people the space they need in order for them to grow and to make mistakes. So you can fix it, or they can fix it, so you can address it. But if you never give anybody that space, you never give them that opportunity, then you're going to have a problem. Okay. In our Torah portion, we found that Moshe had a problem. Moshe wasn't being a good leader. He was not being a good leader to the people by doing that. For whatever reason, why he was doing, he thought that he owed that to them. I mean, he led them out and so forth and so on. And the Most High is using him in that capacity, but yet and still that wasn't a good leadership quality. Okay. So what we're talking about in chapter number 18, everyone, and 19 and 20 is about leadership. So that's the work that Yah has done on Moshe to give us the example of what we should be looking forward to. Okay. This is the reason why he says, when I come and I talk to you, all the people will support you. Okay. They have to be able to support somebody that they know that would be a bona fide, certified, qualified, dignified, reliable leader. You know, you can't put your trust and confidence in somebody, and especially leadership that is compromised. You can't put your trust and your support behind anybody that's not mindful of not only the people around them, but themselves. You don't want to follow a leader that doesn't care about themselves, because if they don't care about themselves, then they don't care about the people. That's just what it is. So what we see here is that Yithro is telling Moshe that your concern and your focus is not only about the people. Your focus should be on yourself. You and I can't lead anybody until we learn how to lead ourselves. Period. Because in the end game, it's always going to be about you and I individually. Okay. Through the Torah, you saw that Asah is about this work. Anytime we're involved in work, there has to be some counsel. You know, anytime we got to do a job, or there's a task that needs to be done, or there's a program, or there's something that has to be done, we should be open to counsel. And we saw that in our Torah portion. We saw the Yithro has says, so listen now to what I have to say, that I will give you some advice, and Elohim will be with you, and you should represent the people before Elohim. So he's helping him understand to set up some structure, and you should, bring these cases to Elohim. Okay. And you should teach them, because that's what this work is about. especially as a leader, you need to teach them the laws and the laws and the teachings, the Torah. You can do that. You can teach them the Kukim. You can teach them the Torah. You can show them how to live their lives, meaning how should they walk? Because it talks about live their lives is really how they should walk in their lives. Okay. And what work they should do. Right. So is nothing wrong with teaching the laws, the statutes, and the commandments of the Most High. Okay. Well, there's also a point where you and I have to, and how to teach people how to live their lives. But the goal is to teach others how they should live their lives. That's the goal. So that's why it can't be religious. That's why, like when I'm teaching, I have to focus and say, well, how am I supposed to teach people so they can learn how to live their lives? Right? Not that I'm Moshe, I'm just taking the example of Moshe. Okay. And what work should they do? Because ultimately, all of us have a job to do. Okay. And so the work that they're talking about doing is the Asah. That's the work to do. So that's why it's mentioned so many different times in this in particular Torah portion. It's about work. It's about doing what you're supposed to do. Any job that you and I have to do, any work that's before us, anything that needs to be performed, you need resources. And you have to make sure that you have the right resources. Okay. Moshe had a lot of resources around him. He had over, 1.8 million people. He had a group of people. He had a whole bunch of men. He had a whole bunch of leaders. He just sat down and had, I would say, I'm making a joke, brunch, or, he had a meal with YHWH and the elders of Israel. They all sat down and had a feast together after they talked about the things that Yah has done. And then the following day, after sitting around and eating with all those men, he took it upon himself to sit there by himself and answer the questions between everybody. Okay. Meaning, millions of people that had concerns, those things which are, big issues, small issues, petty issues. He's just listening all day, listening, talking, listening. He just burnt out. What did he have? Somebody sitting there handing him some water. Give me some water. Did he have time to go to urinate, go to the bathroom, go eat? What was it? He had millions of people and he's sitting there all day. That was foolish and it was senseless. And it just took so much out of him. And you can't have that type of leadership in place for a people such as this, as a people who's supposed to be dedicated to the Most High. Okay. But going back to the fact that these people, he had human resources. He had human capital. Okay. And so when you have resources around, you have to make sure that your resources are going to be right. Okay. But then he told him something. He said, but you shall choose from among you all the people, from among all the people. See, so instead of taking it from you, I want you to take it from among the people. I want you to take people who are competent men, right? Who are Elohim fearing, honest and incorruptible, to be their leaders in charge of thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. So you have all these divisions. You have a chain of command. The Most High did call YSREAL his armies, right? You have different tribes. You have different leaders. So we have to bring some structure, right? But the part of the resource part is that the individuals that you have to choose from among these individuals have to be people that are competent, right? They have to have an understanding, right? And one of the things that they have to understand is that they first and foremost, they're going to have to know how to fear Yah. The work that we're talking about doing requires wisdom. That's what Asah is. Again, so you need resources for work. To do something, you're going to need wisdom to do it, okay? And the part, how we get our wisdom is through the fear of Yahweh, because that's the beginning of knowledge. That's the beginning of understanding things, right? Because fools, they despise this. And they despise discipline. They don't want the structure. They don't want the order. So part of the fear of Yahweh is to be able to understand things and to know things. And knowing is visual observation. That means to be aware of your surroundings, knowing what's available to you. Okay. But if you don't fear Yah, then that means that who do you fear? Who do you fear? Well, if you don't fear Yah, that means that you're going to fear men. And the Most High says that I don't want you to fear me. Why are you afraid of a man who's going to die? You need to fear the one who doesn't die. You need to fear the Elohim of Elohims. He said, fear of Yahweh is the hatred of evil. So these men, these competent people, okay, had to be people who hated evil, because that's the fear of Yahweh. That's part of it. That's not everything. I just have a little verse right here that you can find in chapter number 8 of Proverbs to tell you that the fear of Yahweh is to hate evil. It's the hatred of evil. That's competency. That's a person who's wise. That's a person who has knowledge. Okay. And how do you get that fear? You get that fear through what? Through hating evil. So if knowledge is attached, which is visual observation, then of course, for you to be able to recognize evil, you have to be able to see it. You see? So if you're looking at something, hear me, if you're looking at something with your eyes, you see it with your eyes. And if it's evil, you're supposed to turn away from it. Because the hatred of evil is not just saying, oh, I hate evil. Hatred of evil means to turn away from evil. That's a person who fears Yah. Turn away from the things that you see with your eyes. Wisdom is speaking. I hate pride and arrogance. She turns away from individuals who have these personality traits and these behaviors. She turns away from individuals that their ways are raw, they're evil, they're bad, they're misery and destruction. Doesn't bring any peace to anybody. She turns away from those who have duplicitous speech, who speak like a double tongue. They say one thing and mean something else, and then turn around and say something else. They're uncertain about their decisions. They're not straight up. So the men that you're looking for and the people that you and I should be looking for to be part of our lives, especially in any capacity of leadership, have to be individuals that fear Yahweh, who are willing to turn away from evil. The work that you and I have to do, the Asah, that which you and I need to do, or that which we're doing, or that which needs to be done or has been done, has to have an approval. And we're not looking for the approval of men. You're not looking for the approval of men in your Asah. You're not. You're looking for the approval of Yah. Yithro had enough sense. He says, if you do this, after he gave him the counsel, he said, Elohim is directing you, and Elohim is directing you to do, to Asah it, you will be able to endure, and all these people too will arrive at their destination peacefully. Did all those people arrive at their destination peacefully? No, because those individuals, the first generation, got killed. And the reason why they got killed, everyone, is because there was a breakdown in the leadership. When Yah sent those men out to go look at the land, they came back. The leaders of those tribes came back with a bad report about the land. And they came back and they convinced the people to go against Yah and start speaking bad against Yah. And Yah killed every last one of those men from ages of 20 years old and up. And the people who came back, who's talking crazy to the Most High, those leaders, they died that day on the spot. There was leaders who came back from the festival of Baal Peor. Yah says, take all of them and hang them up. Hang them up right now. Your leaders can get you in trouble. So you got to make sure that your resources are tight. You got to make sure that they have a fear of Yah. You got to make sure that anybody that is over you, because there's going to be people who are going to be over us. All of us. They have to be righteous and they have to be fearful of Yah. And they can't be about themselves, period. Because the ultimate goal, everyone, is to bring us to what you would call shalom. And that's what he was talking about. That's the goal, right? So anytime you're looking and doing something, you always want to make sure that the end result is going to be shalom. He wants to go to their destination in shalom. That's what it is. That should be the goal of everybody. If any work that you and I are doing or have done, if the end result is not shalom, then you didn't do what's right. There was a breakdown somewhere. maybe a breakdown in communication, maybe a breakdown in motivation, a breakdown in something. Okay. That was the work that happened with Moshe. There's many more other things that happened to him. But now I want to talk briefly about Israel. There's a work that Yah wants to do with Israel as a nation. The work that Yah intends on doing with the children of Israel, okay, more specifically, the sons of Israel, is to get them to know that I have an intention for you. I have a work for you to do. Okay. Israel has a work, but not only do they have a job and a work to do, but there's a work that needs to be done on them. So when the Most High called Moshe, right? Moshe went up to Elohim and Yahweh called him from the mountain. Here is what you are to say to the household of Yaakov. Tell the people of Israel. Let me stop right there so you can get some understanding. When he talks about the household of Yaakov, he's talking about every member of their families. Every member. Okay? That's the slaves, that's the servant girls, that's the foreigners, the strangers that are all with them, the mixed multitude. Okay, I want you to go down and here's what you are to say to the household of Yaakov. Within the household of the Yaakov, I need you to go tell. That word tell means, because he says say right here, and then he says tell. Tell means in Hebrew, neged, and neged means to put in front of. Okay, make it known to them. To who? To the sons of Israel. Okay. I'm talking to the sons of Israel. I'm telling the sons of Israel this. Yah's not making a covenant with the mixed multitude. He's not. I'm not making a covenant with the mixed multitude. I'm making a covenant with the sons of Israel. I'm making a covenant with the 12 tribes of Israel. And everyone who belongs to them. Okay, so I'm talking to the tribes, right? You have seen what I did to the Egyptians. Again, that word did is connected to your word Asah. You saw the work that I've done. All right, so I've already done a work for you, a great and mighty work. You saw what I did to them. What did he do to them? I killed their firstborn. I destroyed their land. I destroyed their crops. I killed their firstborn, their animals, and their sons. I've destroyed literally their cities. I decimated their army. I messed them up. I destroyed their gods. I did it all. So because I've done this, you've seen the work that I've done. You've seen it. You have seen it with what? With your eyes. What is Yah telling us? I don't want you to believe in anything. I don't want you to believe in anything. I didn't ask you to believe nothing. You've seen it with your own eyes, what I did, the work that I did to the Egyptians, and how I carried you on eagle's wings. I mean, I brought you with swiftness and with protection. I did it quickly. And I brought you to myself. I brought you to me because I have a work that I want to do on you. And there's a work that I want you to do for me. Oh, praise be to the living Elohim, because you saw my work. Now, since you've seen the work that I've done, if you would pay careful attention to what I say and keep my covenant, then you will be my own treasure from among all the peoples. For all the earth is mine, and you will be a kingdom of Kohanim for me, a nation set apart. These are the words you are to speak to the sons of Israel. This is what I want you to tell them. Okay? Again, careful attention and keeping my covenant. We went over this before. shamoah, meaning listening carefully and obeying, and guarding. We're not going to go in that because what we're talking about is what's required of the work. See, he already told us, I need you to obey me and listen to what I'm saying. He's already told us that I need you to guard what I'm saying. But you and I need to look at what the work is. Asah, the work, things that need to be done, things that you do, and the things that you're doing always have to be stemmed in obedience and guardianship of what Yahweh said, which is the words that he spoke to us on Mount Sinai and turned around and wrote them on 2 tablets of stone and gave them to our leader, Moshe, so you and I could have faith and depend and support and trust and recognize and appreciate and respect the words that he would teach us. The work that you and I are doing right now as a nation requires obedience and guardianship. And how could you and I do this work if we're not in agreement with Yah? How could we do a job if you're not in agreement? Why would you accept a job or a position or a title or an appointment and you act like you don't know what's required of you? Didn't you get an offer letter? The Torah for us in chapter 9, number 19 is an offer letter. I made an offer letter to you. I gave it to you and wrote it to you and told you what it was. I gave it to Moshe and he sat down with you and he told you what it was. Anytime the work needs to be done, any job that you and I are doing, we need to have a conversation. Our Elohim has given us the opportunity to have a conversation, to have a discussion about what did he say. Just like when you get an offer letter, you just don't, oh, I just got a job. You don't do that. You read it. You find out what's required of you. If you're wise, you would meditate on it and think about it and say, am I really willing to do this? I know this is what the expectations are. Did I ask enough questions? Do I really know what's going to be expected of me? Do I really know what this means? I remember working in my business and I used to interview people all the time. And I really liked some of these people. And I said, I really want to let you know that I appreciate the interview today. I really like you. Some people I hire right on the spot. I did. Why? Because I really saw something in them. But do you know, even after I offered it to them, and I said, and they said, yeah, I'll take it. I said, don't do that. Don't do that. They said, what do you mean? I said, I want you to go home and I want you to meditate on it. I really want you to think about what I'm asking you to do. I want you to really absorb what I'm saying because I don't want you to disappoint yourself or me. So I want you to really know that what I'm saying is for real. And do you know, some people went back and looked at it and then they thought about it and they said, you know what? I can't do the job. It's like, okay, great. Because they understood that what I was saying was serious. This is what my expectations are. So even though it might be presented to you, it still takes time for us to meditate upon it and have a conversation and think about it. So Yah's telling us, look, I can't walk with you unless you're in agreement with me. And in your Torah, Moshe came and he summoned all the leaders of the people. And he presented them with all these words which Yahweh had ordered him to say. He wasn't speaking out of his own mind. He said what Yah said, and all the people answered as a Akkad. They answered as one. Everything Yahweh has said, we will Asah. Hebrew is called Na Asah, meaning we will do. That do right there was in future tense. They weren't doing it then. They haven't done it. Talking about the future. Moshe reported the words. What words of the people? He reported the words Yahweh. They said that we will do. It's not that Yah didn't hear what they said, because he hears everything. He just wanted to have them to say it for themselves so they can hear it. You see? So it's about what we do. They made a commitment. Okay. And so in this conversation about look, I'm applying these principles of the Torah to everyday life. Okay. Any work that you and I need to do, or anything that we're involved in, any type of business transaction, any family matter, whatever work it is, because you're going to be doing work until the day that you die. Okay. There has to be a meeting of the minds. And when they said that we will do in the future tense, said we have a meeting of minds. We're on the same accord. We're in alignment with what you're talking about. So we can pick up what Yah's laid down and say that any work that we do has to have a meeting of the minds. But they tried to deceive him. This is in the book of Psalms, chapter number 78. They tried to deceive Yah with their words. See, they lied to him with their tongues, for their hearts were not right with him, and they were unfaithful to his covenant. Why did I put this here? I put this here because you need to understand, when there's a meeting of the minds, right? You can't go into this. You can't go into the conversation with dishonesty, right? You can't go into a business dealing with dishonesty or another motive. You can't. And if you can't do that with that and expect good results, how is it then that you and I can come to Yah and think that we could do what we want to do, and we can say things to him, and we're saying we're on the same page with you. We're saying that we have a meeting of the minds. We're in alignment with what you're talking about. We humble ourselves. We want to give ourselves over to what you're asking us to do, and there's no meeting of the minds. That's when that deception is there. That's when that lying is there. And we can't have that. And by us being liars and deceiving, there, of course, there's that unfaithfulness. So being unfaithful to the covenant means that you and I don't support what he has said. Because the work, ultimately, everybody, is about you. Yah has used these examples of Moshe, the work that he did with him. He's used the examples of what he's doing for the children of Israel as a nation, a kingdom of priests being set apart. What he's asked them to do, obedience and guardianship. You know, if obeying Yah and being a guardian is not a light task, especially when it's coming to the creator of the universe. So the question is whether or not you and I want to do the work. What is the work that you and I are supposed to do? What is it? What is the work that Yah wants to do on you? What is the work that you're willing to do? You know, I don't have the slides up here. I mentioned, it was mentioned 2,628 times. A great majority of those asahs that we have and making and doing was all in Genesis. Everything was in Genesis, just about. Literally almost every verse. Yah making the heavens, Yah making the light, Yah doing this, Yah doing this, Yah doing, he's doing it all. For 6 days, he's doing it all. But this work that you and I need to do, that you and I are doing, it has to have meaning, and it has to have significance. Because the only thing that's going to be remembered about you when you leave this earth, it's going to be the work that you did for your creator. That's the work. When you leave this earth, they're going to tell everybody what a good person you was and how well you were at your job that you'll never see again. They're going to remind everybody how good you played, the piano, or how smart you were, or how pretty you were, or how whatever, how well you blew the shofar. They're going to remember that, or how many kids you had, or how many vacations you went on. What was this? What was your level of this? What did you obtain while you were here? They're going to tell about all that. But what they're not going to tell is the work that you did for the Most High. Only he knows that work. the real work, the true work that you need to do, okay? Yah wants to do a work on you and I. And he told us that I, Yahweh, I search the heart. That means I dig deep, like I'm digging for a well. And the heart there is not the mind in this in particular part of the text in Hebrew. It's talking about your emotions, your deepest part of who you really are. He says, I test the inner motivations, I mean, I examine your motives. Why do you do what you do? Why do you do the work that you do? Because the goal is to give everyone according to what his actions, which is his paths, and his conduct, which is his deeds, deserve. I'm going to give you what you deserve. You shouldn't be worried about anybody else's work. I want you to know that the Most High is telling us that everyone, I'm going to give you as an individual what you deserve. I want to give you what your path, whatever path that you decided to take and walk on, that's what you're going to reap the benefits of that path. Whatever it is that you are doing, your deeds, your intentional motivations, I'm going to give to you what you deserve. So in your family, I'm going to line you, your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, I'm lining all of you guys up. And I'm going to give each and every last one of you what you deserve. And not one of you can say anything to the other about what they get. This is the reason why in the Torah, the Most High told us not to desire anything that belongs to our neighbor. Why? Because it doesn't belong to you. It's about him. You need to focus on you. You need to focus on your actions. You need to focus on your conduct, the manner in life in which you live, because you're only going to get what you deserve. The purpose is that you should enter into the covenant of Yahweh your Elohim. This is something that was written in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter number 29, verse number 10, for those who want to read it. There's a purpose that Moshe was talking to the children of Israel, that you should enter the covenant of Yahweh your Elohim and into his oath in which Yahweh your Elohim is making, that's the Asah I'm making with you today, so that he can establish you today for himself as a people, and so that you, or that for you, he will be Elohim, as he said to you, and as he has sworn to your ancestors, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. But I'm not Asah, this covenant and this oath only with you. Rather, I'm making it both with him who is standing here with us today before YHWH, our Elohim, and also with him who is not here with us today. We need to understand that the covenant in which you and I are reading in our Torah portion this week is not only for those who were standing there. This covenant is for those who are not standing there, who are not standing there. This is talking to the second generation of those who are in the book of Deuteronomy. Okay. So the bottom line is Yah has a covenant with us, and he's entered into this covenant, and he's done this work in us so he can establish you and I as a people for him. Individually. The individuals make up the collective. Okay. So it's always going to start with you. I don't have a slide in here that says that if you decide that you're going to continue to do what you want to do, Yah says he's going to cut you off from your people. I want to focus on what Yah is doing. Okay. So what is the work that you and I need to do while we're in our exile? What is the Asah that we need to do? What are we doing, and what needs to be done? What's the work? Part of our work, part of our Asah, part of our task, part of our journey is to memorialize. Yah wants us to memorialize something, and you found this in your covenant. I want you to memorialize me. I want you to know that I am Yahweh, your Elohim. Anoki Yahweh Eloheka. Asher hotzitika leme'adres Mitzrayim from the Beit of Avadim. Meaning that I'm your Elohim who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the land of slavery, the abode. I need you to memorialize that. I need you to always have that in your mind. Part of your work, part of what you need to do is also maintain faithfulness. And that's found in the Berith. That's in the covenant, which our brother Cisco, Lucas, had brought out. Lo yeh telaka Elohim. There shall never exist to you another Elohim before me. Elohim before me, before my face. I don't ever want to have another one, an individual or plurality in front of me, ever. They should never exist. You need to remain faithful to me. You are not to make for yourselves a carved image of any kind. If you notice, the word make there is asah. That's the work that you need not to do. I don't want you to do this. You do not need to make asah for yourselves, a carved image of any kind of representation of anything in the heaven above or on the earth beneath or the water below the shoreline. You are not to bow down to them or serve them, for I am Yahweh, your Elohim. I am a jealous El. I'm a jealous power, and I'm punishing, which means I'm visiting the children for the sins of the parents to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me. Those who've said that we are going to turn our back on Yah, I'm going to come and visit their families. Okay? But I'm displaying grace. That word display right there is asah. I'm making, I'm creating. Okay? It talks about it not in the future. Oh, praise be to the living Elohim. It's not talking about a future, it's not talking about the future tense. This right here in the Hebrew is called oseh. Oh, let me see how it's oseh. Oseh from Asah. And this O right here is the ing. I am making. I am doing. So it's a work that Yah's doing. So Yah's working grace. He's working chesed. He's working compassion for a group of people individuals who are loving. Ing. That's happening currently. That's right now. That's present tense. Presently. Those who are presently loving me and those who are presently obeying me. I'm presently showing grace to the 1,000 generation for those who are obeying my commandments. So Yah's doing a work. Yah's working continually on your behalf if you're loving him, if you're obeying his commandments. You see? That's why the work that you and I need to do has to match up. It has to be on the same, what one would say, frequency. It has to be the same frequency. So when it says that I want you to be faithful in your work, it's because Yah is showing his faithfulness. Yah is maintaining faithfulness to us. It goes both ways. See? Part of the work as well that you found in your Torah portion, he told them to sanctify yourselves. He said, I need you to do that by washing your clothes. I need you to bathe your bodies. And Yah come and see you on the third day. And I also need you to refrain from sexual intercourse with your wives. But that's not the sanctification here that I want to talk about. That was at that time. I'm talking about right now. The work that you and I need to do is sanctification. Our work, because we are going to be a kingdom. See, the you will be, okay, future tense, a kingdom of Kohanim for me. That's the work. So Yah's bringing us through a process of sanctification to bring us to this. So when he made this offer to them, he was telling them in the offer that you will be to me. That was part of, let me see here, got rid of that. That was part of the offer, that you will be for me a kingdom of priests for me, a nation set apart. Okay, I'm going to use you individuals to be this to me. So you could go ahead and you could be a nation that's set apart. So when I send you out to the rest of the nations, they'll be able to look and see you and understand what it is going to be about. They'll understand me by looking at you. You'll understand me by looking at Moses. You'll understand me. You'll understand the work that you're supposed to be doing and the work that I've called you to do. I've called you to a work. What happened here? You're going to have to be set apart. That's it. You are not, and hear me well. You are not. Can you put your device on mute? Thank you. You are not to use lightly the name of Yahweh your Elohim, because Yahweh will not leave unpunished someone who uses his name lightly. This is in your what? This is in your Barithi. This is in your contract. This is in your covenant that you have to follow. When he's talking about using his name, listen, is he talking to a group of people here? No. He's talking to you as a second person, masculine, singular. Second person, feminine, singular. You. This covenant has to do with you. I don't want you to treat my name lightly. I don't want you to think that it's vain or that you can say anything you want or you can live any type of way you want to. You got to understand what the work is. If you're going to do the job, you need to know who it is that you have to answer to. You have to answer to your master, which is YHWH. So don't ever use my name in a way that treats it lightly or diminishes the value of who I am, because if you do, I'm not going to let you go unpunished. He didn't tell you what the punishment is. He just told you you're not going unpunished. That can mean anything. That can mean anything. What has happened to people who've used the name Yahweh in a way that was lightly? There was a young man who was in a camp of Israel in the wilderness and got into a fight, and he blasphemed the name of Yahweh. And they said, what shall we do with him? Put him inside of, custody. Ask Yah what to do. Yah said, kill him. Part of your sanctification process, everybody, is to remember the Shabbat. Remember the day of the Shabbat, to set it apart for Elohim. You, individual, have 6 days to labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Shabbat for Yahweh, your Elohim, and on it you are not to do any kind of work. You see all your work? There's work that you're going to be doing outside of Yah's work. He knows that. But even the work that you do outside of that work has to still be what? Does he say that since your work is different than my work, that this work right here can be defiled? Can it be defiled? No. Because you're not only going to be set apart as a people, as a kingdom of priests to me, but you're also going to set the days that I have for you to set apart. The work that you do has to be set apart. The food that you eat has to be set apart. So you can't have it both ways. You, the Atah, your son, Vinka, Ivitaka, your daughter, your male servant, your female slave, your livestock, and not the foreigner staying inside your gates to your property. Nobody is supposed to do any work on that day. Why? He tells us why. Because in 6 days, Yahweh made heaven and earth and the sea and everything in them. But on the seventh day, he rested. This is why Yahweh has blessed the day, the Shabbat, and he separated it for himself. And you and I get to be part of that sanctification process. We're almost done. Moral purity. The work that Yah has for us to do, and the work that you and I have to do for ourselves, by walking with Yah, learning from Yah, allowing Yah to teach us, is so we can understand what the work is all about. The work that Yah is doing in our lives, and the reason why the Torah was introduced to us as a people, was for the sake of moral purity. Moral purity. Again, this has to do with you as an individual. That's why he tells you to honor your father and your mother. That's why he tells you that you don't supposed to murder. That's why he tells you do not commit adultery. Don't steal. Don't give a false evidence or witness against your neighbor. That means lying. Don't lie. Don't give a false testimony. That's false. That's what being a false witness is, and false evidence. To lie or to lie about, okay? To give a false testimony. Do not covet your neighbor's house. Do not covet your neighbor's wife, his male or female slave, his ox, his donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. Now, we've read this on several occasions. One of the things that I want you to look at when you get an opportunity is there is a letter that's being used all the time when he says these things. The letter that he uses, everyone, and all these things, he says this, lo, and then he'll begin it off with a tav. Tav in Hebrew means you. So it'd be, lo tirtzak, lo tinaf, lo tinov, also all these tavs right here. That's you. So when I read this, I said, okay, so you're telling, and look, don't you, against your neighbor, you individual, your neighbor's house, you individual, don't do this. You're not never. This do not means never. And that's part of the work. So let me ask you a question. Can you and I do these things? Can we not do them? I mean, you can't help yourself? What is it? You have to, remember the New Testament says there's nothing good in you. So you could commit murder. Are you going to be able to, are you willing to commit murder? Well, you can't do this. You're not in the land. You can't honor your father and your mother while you're in exile. You tell me you can't do that? What? Put your device on mute. Thank you. You telling me that you can't commit, it's hard, you have to commit adultery? Like Paul says, because of all what's inside of your body, you just can't help it. I got to put my hands on something that doesn't belong to me. When you murder somebody, that starts with your mind. That's in a thought. That's why the Most High attacks the person's thoughts. He said, if I find out that you had any hatred in your heart against your brother, and he ends up dying, I'm getting you for murder. When you commit adultery, you do that in secret, but it starts in your mind. And then you use your hands. And then you use the other parts of your body. When you're doing stealing, it starts in your mind. Come on, let's stop playing like we don't know what he's talking about. And then you use your hands. And you use your feet to go and do it at night. You use your arms to reach inside and take it and everything. You're using the members of your body. Giving false witness against your neighbor. What do you got to use? It starts in your mind. Well, let me just lie about this. And you use your tongue. You see? Don't covet your neighbor's house. Right? The mind. You be having these thoughts about those things, and you start speaking about it. Covet, delighting in your neighbor's wife. It starts in your mind, and then you move from your mind, and you're using your eyes. Then you move from your eyes, and you start doing the coveting, and then all of a sudden now you find yourself in adultery. Then after you find, well, I'm adultery, I got to kill this person because I want to be with her. It's all connected. Then you got to lie about what you just did. You see? So what is Yah talking about? He's talking about your moral purity that has to do with your mind. If your mind is screwed up, you can forget it. That's what Yah's trying to show us. You don't need the New Testament to tell you that these things are wrong. The New Testament wants to give you a handicap and make excuses for you. So you can't do this work. This is the work that Yah told us that we have to do. And you and I can do it. And they said it. They said everything he said we will do. Why would he accept it? Why would he accept what they're saying if they wouldn't have the ability to do it? The work that you and I are doing for Yah is dealing with our moral purity. But there's also some work that you and I are not supposed to do that I want to talk about. The Asah here, this is what you do not do. Don't do. Don't be caught doing this. Never let it be done. Okay, past, present, future. This is prohibited. This is not authorized. Okay. Yah tells us in chapter number 20 to tell the sons of Israel, you are not to Asah. Do not make nothing with me gods of silver, nor you are to make gods of gold for yourselves. Where does that making come from? It comes from your mind. And then you use it and you put your thought together and then you put your hands on it. And then all of a sudden you shape it. Why is he telling us not to do these things? I'll explain in a second. The work that you and I is supposed to do should not be unaltered. There's some things that they're not supposed to be altered. There's some things that never supposed to be changed. And I want to share it with you. He says, if you do Asah, if you do make an altar of stone, make me an altar of stone. So Yah's not forbidding us to do this. He says, if you are to make me, if you do make me an altar of stone, you are not to build it of cut stones. If you use a tool on it, you profane it. Likewise, you are not to use steps to go up to my altar so that you won't be indecently uncovered. Okay. So the Most High, again, is talking to the individual. I want to point out here something that the Most High showed me about this. So if you do make an altar, it's okay to make an altar. You're supposed to make it out of stone. Okay? You're supposed to make it out of stone. But there's a condition too I'm going to read to you about where he will put his name. Okay? But the fact is that Yah doesn't want this stone to be altered in any kind of way. And I asked myself, Yah, why can't they use a stone? Why can't it be built of cut stones? Why are you not to use a tool on it? And why is you saying that it's profaned? Because if you change the original creation, it's profaned. The Savior of the New Testament came as a carpenter. Okay. And he used so-called tools, right? And he cut stones. He also used tools to do so. Okay. Which I thought that was pretty interesting because you never hear about him doing anything that had to do with an altar for the Most High. You never hear about him doing any of these things. But if he was to make an altar as a carpenter, he more than likely would have had to use tools to cut and make an altar. There are people today that are setting up altars, okay, in their churches, okay? They call it in church, they come up to the altar. Remember they said that? Come up to the altar today if you want to get saved. Come up to the altar. At the beginning of their altars, which is a ritual, and you go up there and you cry and tell God how sorry you were, there was a table that was up there. The table said, do this in remembrance of me. Do this. That Asah, okay, if it was in Hebrew, meaning the work or to make or to do this in remembrance. I want you to remember me. Of me. Not Elohim. This is JC talking. I want you to do this in remembrance of me. So what the church has done is they've put a table in there that has been cut with tools and shaped and engraved. And then he says, do this in remembrance of me. You should know right off the top, if you know the Torah, that right there is an abomination. That ritual right there is an abomination. And then on top of that table, you're supposed to eat the body and you're supposed to drink the blood of this person right here. You see, so you got to see the connection. I'm mentioning this because the Most High is saying, anytime you do an altar for me, it's supposed to be unaltered. I don't want anything to ever touch it. The mountain that they were on, that he came and he descended upon, nothing was changed. Yah's dealing with that which is the original. He's dealing with that which is organic. That's why he's saying, don't change anything that I've done. If you and I go in and we start changing things and we start manipulating things, then it becomes profaned. Okay. Now the connection here is saying, when you make an altar to me, you say, Akika, can you do this right now? No. There's people right now that are setting up tables right now in their churches and in their congregations. And I'm not talking about just Christians. And I'm not talking about just Christians. I'm talking about people that even call themselves Israelites that will build, listen, they'll build a desk, a table out of wood. And what they will do is they will go and they will attach YHWH's name to that table or to that desk or to that building. And they will say, Yah is here. He's here. Because they built something and they stuck Yahweh's name on it out of some wood or some plastic or some whatever material they used that was cut by some other tools. And they say Yah's name is here. That's the work that they're doing. When you go into those places and they say that Yah's name is here, and then you see the Yod, the Hey, and the Y, and the Hey, I didn't write it over here. They got the Yod, the Hey, the Y, the Hey written somewhere on something, and they say that Yah is here, and you believe it because you don't know the Torah. If you do that kind of work, you have no respect for Yah. Yeah, somebody said, I never heard nothing that Christ have ever made. That's right. You ain't heard nothing he ever made. You guys understand what I'm saying to you? This right here, the work, this right here is this is profaning Yah's name. I just want you to know that. If anybody, I'll say it again. Let me calm down. If you go to a place and they have Yah's name on anything, okay, anything, a desk, a table, a pole, a building, anything, and they put his name there, they don't respect Yah. They said he's there, they don't respect Yah. And the bottom line is, if you believe it and you understand it and you accept it, then you don't respect Yah's work. And guess what? You are going against the Most High. Because the work that Yah is doing and the work that Yah says that can be done has to be authorized. Just like the decisions that Moses had to make had to be approved by Yah. Even though his father-in-law gave him counsel and advice, they still had to be authorized. Listen what he said. For me, Yah's talking, you need make Asah only an altar of earth. And on it, you will sacrifice your burnt offerings, peace offerings, sheep, goats, and cattle. Here's what he said. In every place where I cause my name to be mentioned. So, going back to the buildings that you and I have been in, on a building, a desk, a table, a pole, a wall, whatever, they're saying that Yah's name is there because that's where Yah has mentioned it. In the Hebrew, it talks about, well, Yah will not only mention, he means to memorialize. Remember, I told you our job is to memorialize it, but we memorialize Yah's name through doing what he said. You don't memorialize Yah's name by placing it on a wall or placing it on a desk that's been cut with a tool. And you say that it's Yah's, that this place is Yahweh's because you put his name there. You don't make yourself Yah's because you go out and buy a hat and put Yahweh's name on it. Or a t-shirt. Or a gold, I don't care if it's a gold chain or a gold bar that you put on the top of your head like you're a priest, like you're a high priest. You see how far off our people are? They don't have any respect for the work. If you are going to do the work, you have to do it in the place where he said, in the makom, every place where I will cause, I cause. So Yah has not given authorization for the things that you and I are seeing today. So guess what people are doing? They're playing games with the Most High. I just want you to know that. Don't fall for the games. Because the people who do these things don't respect the Most High. And with that, I say shalom to you. I say that the work that you and I need to do has to bring about this shalom. It's quite a job. It is. It's quite a job. But don't get confused. Don't get lost in the sauce. Okay? Don't allow anybody to tell you something that's not true. Don't do it. So again, mark my words. Go to anywhere that I'm telling you, and if they have his name on it and say that he's there, they're lying to you. They're profaning Yah's name. They're counting Yah's name light. Yah has never given authorization to put his name anywhere. Period. So don't fall for that. Okay. One of the things too that we want to go over right quick is we want to share our screen with you, and for you to play this game. You can stop recording right now, Cisco.